it ain't exclusive. If it ain't an Emlyn exclusive, it's your boy BQ. Welcome to the Emlyn Podcast. We in the heart of Silicon Valley, San Jose, California, 408 in the Shark Tank. We're at the Emlyn Podcast where we have high-level discussions with culture leaders in diverse industries, communities, and entertainment, talking about the art of vision, making dreams and ideas into a reality. So that is why you're here today, my friend.
Preach.
Let's
That's
go.
a good-ass intro right there.
I've been practicing. So the reason why you're here today is because I consider you a culture leader. That's the term we're creating. That's what we're pushing. Culture leaders.
Thank you.
And what that is someone that comes from the city, comes from somewhere where it was hard to manifest where you're currently at.
Mm-hmm.
There might have been a point in time where you looked at the carear path that you wanted, and you might have seen like, damn, this actually might be a little harder.
No, this shit was hella hard. I
It
ain't
was-
gonna lie.
So you understand what I'm
If I
saying?
told 12-year-old Clayton who wanted to do this, who dreamed about doing what I'm doing now, I mean, I still would have said do it.
Yeah.
But I would have just gave myself some game, like get your shit together.
Yeah.
Don't fuck around, because I'd end up. I think I wasted a lot of time too. Because you think that it's easier than what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And this shit is not for everybody.
Yeah, we all have our ambitious and motivational thoughts. We're like, oh, I could do that, I can do this. But, when you're actually on the field, you realize, there's actually a lot of growing pains involved.
You got to put in the work, But it could be fun, too, Like you said, if your mental space is in the right space.
Mm. So would you say at 12 years old, you already had that infatuation for music, or you feel like that?
For sure.
trickled
That's
in
when I
more?
started playing the piano and writing songs at 12. But at 16 to 20, I literally was having dreams about doing exactly what I'm doing now. So
You envisioned it.
yeah, for sure.
Visionary. and that's what, the art of vision. And that's what I mean, in the intros, the vision, having vision is art, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to basically, the idea that you have in your mind, putting it into reality.
It's the creative process.
It's
if you look at, there's an art to everything.
Yeah.
And it's the creation, the creativity that gives you you can see the angle, and then you got to figure out the steps, the building blocks, how to put it together. Right.
No shortcuts. So the last time we were together, this is when I was doing my podcast at my job, and you came to downtown San Jose on, I forgot what floor we were on, probably the 10th floor. We could see the city. Thought I had a dope situation there, but we got an even better situation now.
This is dope. For sure.
So thank you for coming down.
Shout out to the crew, man.
Shout out to B Knockin', shout out to Blanco, Leo in the background, shout out to the squad. So it's been a while, and in our last podcast, we kind of got an opportunity to dive into, your background and who you are. And I think people tuning into the interview already have an idea who you are, but for the select few that are still getting introduced to you, can you kind of give a little context of what you do, where you're currently at right now, and just a little context so people understand.
For sure.
For the viewers.
My name is Clayton William. I'm born and raised in San Jose, California. Like I said, I started playing music at 12, so I'm a musician. I'm a music producer. I'm an audio engineer, a DJ. I'm damn near help manage artists. I do promotions and marketing. I'm a spiritualist. I'm a philanthropist. The
list goes on.
Et cetera. I'm a husband. I'm a father. So there's many things that I think, or that I've had to learn in life to, like you had said earlier, get your stability in life.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Knowing who you are and knowing where you want to be. Definitely helps you get to where you want to be. And like I said, currently, music has been my passion and a dream of mine since I was a kid. And over the last 12 years in doing music, I've gotten to work with people like you play GOAT by E40. That was I produced that with my boy Milla, who's on the hook. That project had hit the Billboard hip hop charts to be a part of E40's album. And that was my second record to hit Billboard. Along the way, I've also, let me back up a little bit. I guess I started working in radio.
Yeah.
So I like 20, I started interning for iHeart for Wild 94.9 and KMEL. That kind of taught me. I knew eventually, like at the time, there was no record labels out here.
Yeah.
So that was the only way for me to kind of get in the musical door. So, and then again at 20, I was living in San Jose, driving to San Francisco every day.
And what year range was this, like, for people that don't know? Wild 949, for example.
Let's say somewhere in the middle of the 2000s when hyphy was blowing up.
Okay. So maybe like 2005,
6, 7, 8, somewhere. Right, in there. Now you're making me tell my age.
No, I mean, that was my approach. I was just trying to give a little context. Go ahead.
But I was in my early 20s. And there was no place to really go in the Bay to like learn how to get into the music industry. So I started interning in radio, working for free, doing whatever I could, whether it be picking up trash or holding a camera or setting up a mixing board or helping the DJ carry their crates at the time because there wasn't even Serato yet, So I would do whatever I could to just be around, But I knew in the back of my heart, like, I love making music. Yeah. So I started to dive into, if I found a studio, or shout out Tracks a Million, man, rest,
R.I.P. the legend.
R.I.P. the legend, like I met him around this time, and he inspired the fuck out of me, man. I remember he had a studio on 10th and Taylor in San Jose, and I would literally like drive the Wild 94.9 truck to his studio to like pull up because he'd be like, hey, Turf Talk or Keep the Sneak or Mr. Fab is over here. And I just pull up, like I wanted to learn, and I'd show him beats and he'd be like, okay, this is cool. I like this one. This one's okay. Hey, why don't you try doing it? He gained me up, you know, like in my early 20s. And that's like, that's how I learned how to make slaps. And I mean, obviously he went on to become the producer of that, the main producer in hyphy, along with like Rick Rock and other people. But these guys were huge influences on me when I was younger.
The legends. I mean, you were name dropping some serious names right there, and especially at the time, when you were first coming up. Sorry, I want to interject because it's cool because you brought value to them. In early on when you were still kind of building a name for yourself, you brought value to them. So then you got to surround yourself by greats, and it kind of reminds me of, like, I don't know if you watch $1 Million Worth of Game, but it's another podcast that's hosted by Gilly the Kid and Wallow, and they had Mace on there, and Mace was talking about, like, in order to achieve greatness, you must surround yourself by greatness. So that's kind of like, everything kind of makes sense now for him. Sorry, I just want to throw that in there. Go ahead. That was my little.
Well, I mean, that was like, I kind of digressed from the question. The question was a synopsis of who I am, and I went all the way to the beginning.
It's what podcasting's for. This is a beautiful format.
Right, but I mean, it really started there for me, So then, making beats started while I was still doing my quote unquote day job with the radio station and doing post ups and learning marketing, guerrilla marketing, and then MySpace blew up and learning like the internet stuff and then I got to really see business infrastructure from the sales department to the programming department, the content that has to get created to be put into the programming ritual, right? Yeah. Hence, programming is like, I'm subscribing, I'm trying to get this, this audience, and I'm going to tell them what they're supposed to like. Yeah. That was like the mindset of, corporate media. Yeah. And so to get to see that and kind of like see behind the veil of, from the listener perspective, it just sounded like it was hella fun and it played all my favorite songs. But then you get into the scenario and you're like, damn, like they're like telling me what I'm supposed to like. Yeah. So then they can like tell me what also is cool. So then they could sell shit to me. And I'm like, oh, that's what media and advertising is all about. Yep. Damn, this is some shit. And so it really quickly went from passion of music to holy shit, like this is how the world is programmed. From our government to mass media to local media all the way down. And now fast forward, 15 years later, it's the same thing, but now it's on the internet. Yeah. And you have Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and, these platforms doing the same thing. Yeah. But the beauty of it is now we can
More control.
participate.
Yeah, for sure.
They have the control, but we can participate.
Yeah.
You know, and just carve out our segment.
Yeah.
You know, so early on, you know, like I said, like, you know, I just wanted to like work with like E40 and Too Short, and like that was like my goal as a young like barrier producer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it happened, you know, and then and then I got to move to LA, like, but in that transition, I was kind of like the HBK gang was blowing up at the time. I Am Sue and Pilo and Sage Gemini, and Sage would just come to our studio in Santa Clara.
Nice.
And so I was still doing radio, and then I finally worked my way up to a point where I co-owned studios with business partners, and we always had one in the South Bay. And so artists would start pulling up, like Raven Justice, you know, Sage Gemini, John Hart, Milla, you know, this guy named, he was an artist at the time. His name's Furious. He's now one of the head like A&Rs and executives at Empire. You know, tell you the truth, he gave me like, he believed in me before anybody else did, you know, all of a sudden.
Relationships.
Yeah, like I just love making music. So, and then like the EDM wave came, and I got around like the DJ scene and started making beats for DJs and ghost producing for DJs. And then we had our first record take off when, shoot, I was like 25, 26. Like my wife and Elliot wrote her first hook ever and we put it on a beat. Wow. And it was this song called Addicted to That 808. And all of a sudden I give it to this DJ named Trevor Simpson, and this rapper named Zyme was on it, and the shit blew up. Wow. And all of a sudden we're getting our first record deal offers from, you know, Capitol and Interscope, and we're getting flown to Warner Brothers. We're getting flown to LA, and like, and I'm thinking like, holy shit, like, and this is when a G6 was blowing up. Yeah. So like it was kind of like on that kind of wave, and I knew Niles from the Cataracts, and he's the one who actually taught me how to like make that like distorted ass 808, and but this was all like, so I went from like being in radio to all of a sudden something was taking off in music, and I'm like, what the this is dream come true, like, you know. So now I'm like meeting people in LA, like shout out one of my mentors, Alex Mejia and DJ Latin Prince. Like I met them during this time, and these guys are still like these are my OG friends still. Like they met me when I was just starting, and we're all like captivated by all the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, and you know that whole thing, anything that's shiny, like you know, you're just like the labels will like sell you the dream. And I thought I made it, and then I got into my ego. It went straight to my fucking head, you know. And I didn't know like spiritually how to, and mentally how to handle it and tame the excitement. You know, because I'm a Gemini, like, so my emotional spectrum goes from extreme highs to extreme lows, you know. So
my girl's a Gemini, so I was over here looking for.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, but Tupac was a Gemini, so it's like
Kendrick.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of like amazing entertainers and artists that are Geminis, and I think because we feel all the emotion, we feel all of it. But that was my hey, you've arrived to the party moment, you know. So I'm like 25, 26, kind of like running around LA, running back to the Bay, like, you know, the record's kind of doing its thing, and you know, Furious had then reached out and had me then produce a single for him, and he had YG on it. And Young California was just starting at the time, and so it was a song called Run. And all of a sudden, you know, DJ Amen and Charisma, like, again, great friends now, you know, like they had this Young California idea, and Young California happened to blow up B.O.B. and Tyala Sign and Sage Gemini and all these, you know, John Hart, and all these artists, you know, that just like blew up from the West Coast, you know. And I was just so honored to be, you know, to have a record that was even in these conversations, you know. But then from my radio background, I realized, okay, cool. Like now I'm around the player and the people that I always looked up to. Let me just go build relationships. Let me bring value. So my way of bringing value is like, you know, like my big homie DJ E-Rock. Like he was a part of E40's camp early on. actually helped to connect E40 and Lil Jon, and then Tell Me When to Go was birthed and all this shit. And
that's a story on itself too.
Right. But, I would just get around these guys and be like, hey, you don't make beats. You're around artists. I can make the beats.
Yeah.
And so that started, the DJ community started to be my relationships into meeting bigger artists that I wanted to be around. And then things kind of shifted. This is, I don't know, about 7-8 years ago. So like I was doing West Coast hip hop, but then like the EDM scene just blew up. But it went from, traditionally it was house music, and then it went into all these other genres like Moombathon and hard trap, twerk. Like twerk was just taking a bay beat and putting some blippy fucking weird electronic sounds on it. I was like, damn, I could do that. Like I was just doing it because I was like Diplo was kind of doing it with Major Lazer, and they're doing it like dance hall style, and I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna do like bass shit and start flipping it. And so me and Jay Espinoza, we flip Shake That Monkey by Too Short and Lil Jon. So we turn it into this fucking Moombathon twerk, just booty clapper, right? So
real dance.
It turned the club ups, bro. It turned the clubs and the festivals up. All of a sudden, like we'd put the shit out, and then we go to Vegas for New Year's, me and my girl, and we're literally like, Lil Jon's like right there, and we're with my homie. We got a table to the side, and he drops our fucking remix.
Wow.
And I'm like trying to scurry up on stage to meet him and shit, but I didn't, he's busy as fuck. He didn't know who the fuck I was, so it was like, but that was like, I say that to say that was like my precursor moment to a project that I'm working on right now.
Want to get into
but that shit, that remix, Diplo played it, DJ Snake played it, Mustard. Like I was getting tagged at a Lollapalooza set by Mustard, and the Snapchat had Mustard like playing, and it was our record.
Wow.
And I'm watching 50,000 people go ape shit.
Yeah, because in Vegas they be going crazy.
Because I think this one was Lollapalooza in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago, okay.
But Mustard's playing. He's playing his hits at the time, his West Coast hits, and then he's playing these remixes, these EDM remixes. But then to see like, damn, like he's doing it, and he's up there at a very high level, and he's playing my shit.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. This is like a confidence booster.
Gives you reassurance that you can
right. And then right after that, there was a song that Raven Justice and Sage did, and it just kind of came out. It didn't they didn't do much with it, and so there was a snippet part in Sage's verse that I really liked, and so I turned it into a new hook for a new song, and it was called "Fill Your Cup Up." And I put D-Mac had a big record at the time with Sage called Panoramic. And so it was D-Mac, Milla, my boy J-Mane, and it was a West Coast hip hop record, and then it had a twerk drop at the end. So when I put it out, all these DJs who were starting to see my name in the record pools from these twerk remixes we were doing, all of a sudden they just jump on the record, and I'm getting hit up by all my like a bunch of DJ friends in LA, like, bro, DJ City, which is one of the biggest record pools in the world, they got your track featured up there. And I'm like, what? So at this time, I was consciously already, we were going to LA once a month. I told myself, okay, I started to do enough out here in the Bay. I need to get to the next level. I got to go to LA. So once a month, we would just go out there for a weekend, go stay with a friend, go hit the clubs, try to meet DJs, try to go meet artists, go get in the studio, do studio sessions, whatever we could do, just go out there. And all of a sudden, I dropped this record, and now I'm almost a year going to LA once a month. So now I kind of have some relationships out there. It's like God's timing. Like Sage just got Gas Pedal and Red Nose, and that's blowing up. And then I dropped this, and as I'm driving into LA, because again, DJ City was just supporting the fuck out of it. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go meet these guys. And I find out from a friend like they, where their office was, and I got in contact with some people and was able to set up a meeting. So I'm like, cool. I go down there. As I'm like coming over the grapevine, a friend of mine sends me this YouTube video that DJ Felly Fell just put out on Power 106. And Felly's like the biggest hip hop DJ in LA at the time. And I'm watching, he's promoting Who Do You Love with YG and Drake. There's like a Nipsey record in there, another record. And then there's my record with Sage and D-Mac and Milla. And I'm like, I'm literally coming into LA right now.
Yeah.
And you just put this shit out. What the fuck? Like, my heart is beating. It's like about to come out of my chest because I'm so fucking excited. And I call a DJ friend. He's like, bro, Felly's over here tonight. Just come meet up with me.
Perfect timing.
Bro, I get into LA. We get settled in. We go to the club. As Felly's getting off, during his set, he played the Shake That Monkey remix.
Yeah. And
then as he gets off stage, my friend introduces to me, and he just welcomes me with open arms, like, bro, I know exactly who you are. And because he's seeing
his homework already.
He's seeing the twerk EDM stuff.
Yep.
And he's doing his homework.
Yep.
Jay Espinoza, E-Rock, these guys is like my friends, and they're the biggest DJs in the Bay at the time, and still rightfully are. And then he sees the West Coast hip hop relationships, and so he connected me to a friend of his, and it just made my LA experience so welcoming.
Yeah.
And literally, I think this is like a sidebar. When I end up coming back, I end up having my first DMT experience. I'm gonna leave it at that because we probably shouldn't get into that. That's for another conversation. But I highly recommend it. But that gave me the confidence. Literally, the spiritual It had a huge spiritual moment, an awakening moment, and literally like a month or two later, like we were in LA and we just picked up and moved.
And then it just shifted. You guys are there officially.
And then I spent 6 years there.
Dang. Okay.
And it was not easy getting settled in there because I had to figure it out. Me and my wife were doing this on our own. Of course, we had a lot of friends. We had a lot of good relationships. And I definitely want to stress that. Like, relationships are everything. Like, how you treat people, your respect, how you honor people, how you honor and then, like in work, it's not you're just friends right away. You got to like show and prove yourself. And as you kind of show and prove yourself, people like, then they'll let their guard down. And then you start to develop real relationships.
Yeah.
And I value that time period in my life so much because it was not easy. Like, we was struggling our ass off just to like, make it, to make rent. But when we got to LA, by the graces of God, we made rent every single month. We might have been late once or twice.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 times. But
hey, it's part of the process.
We never missed the payment.
That's beautiful.
And so I used to like stress over money, and I had to like change. It was after like a year or two of getting settled into the Bay. Shout out to my brother Deb Shakes, who like he became like my studio partner, just one of my business partners in life. He always had a studio, like facility, not just a studio. Like, he had a few studios in like a building in North Hollywood, and Naeli actually had met him because she was looking for like just spots we could work out of.
Yeah.
And it happened to be right down the street from where we were staying in North Hollywood, and he had this little side room. That's all I needed. I just needed a place to cook up and bring artists.
Yeah.
And then like we just built a really great relationship, and probably all of my Bay Area artists like go to him in LA.
Yeah.
And he's also Busta Rhymes' engineer.
Oh shit.
And he's an amazing songwriter. So he's got his own like ecosystem, But yeah, so it went from like not knowing how bills were gonna get paid to like, again, using the art, the creativity, the skill sets to generate a business, to build business.
Generate income.
Generate income. I never had to go work for I never had a regular job like since iHeart.
Wow.
It was like when I left radio into the studio, like music production business, my back was against the wall. I had no other choice, and I didn't give myself a plan B.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. If you want something, you go fucking get it.
Yeah.
Now I do also think there's a level of honesty that you have to have, self-awareness. Yeah, that you have. Like, I'm not ready to be the CEO of a company like Empire yet. But when I met Ghazi, like 13, 14, 15 years ago, he was doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Producing, engineering, working for a digital distributor. Now he's the CEO of the 8th largest music company in the world, Empire Distribution and Empire Records and Empire Publishing. That took a lot of time, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it was very key for me to know where could I be of service in these early years of like doing music production. And I knew where I wanted to be, you know,
Yeah.
like who doesn't want to be DJ Khaled or Diplo or, you know, your favorite rapper or your favorite singer. Like everybody wants to be the biggest thing that they're possibly able to become.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's right. The goal of life, right? Becoming the best version of yourself, you know? But I definitely like, LA was very humbling because there was so much talent.
Yeah.
Everywhere was a dope producer, a dope songwriter, a dope singer, a dope rapper. And then it made me question like how like we do shit in the Bay. And I'm like, there's artists in the Bay that would just be considered a songwriter in LA.
Yeah.
Because the difference between a songwriter and a producer is the songwriters and producers make the songs. The artist sells the songs. I didn't understand that then. You know, I just, cool, I made a beat. I wrote a hook. I sang on the hook. Cool.
Yeah.
Call me the dream, you know, like
Yeah.
that, you know, like that was the dream, you know, but there's such a bigger process,
Yeah.
you know, that has to happen to become that. And LA was such a dope experience too, because I got to finally meet like abundant creators, like people that own shit, that had mega fucking success through making music, you know? And that was so inspiring because then I started to build and be around a community of people that supported one another.
Yeah.
That we all knew what each other's intention was. And then when you get around people who have had that success, they know how to guide you to get to the success. Like one of my shout out Linnea Heron, amazing young songwriter that I've had the pleasure of working with since she was 13. At this time, she happened to get a publishing deal with this lady named Esther Dean. Esther Dean is one of the biggest songwriters, probably the biggest female songwriter of our generation, like over the last 15 years. This lady's wrote probably more now, like at least 9 Rihanna number ones.
Wow.
Nicki Minaj, like Boom Boom Bass, that big ass hook. She's all the backgrounds, you know. She wrote the record. She got a song with Chris Brown that is actually out and on YouTube. But then she was my first like client.
Yeah.
Like I was like, cool, like yeah, I can make beats, but can you engineer? Can you record?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Like, how can I help? I just wanted to be around,
Yeah.
you know? And Linnea was so dope as a songwriter, like, just a dope person. Like, we had great chemistry. So that was just like this natural, organic thing that happened. And that was one of my first gigs in LA, like working with the best songwriting team, in my opinion, in Los Angeles. And now I'm like really understanding, like, damn, this is what it takes to make a hit record.
Yeah.
This is the demo process. This is the writing process. She wouldn't even write. She would just get in there and she would do 3 takes. She would do like a hip hop swag take. She would do like a pop melodic take and then like an island take. And then we would comp the melodies. Okay, this one's going to be the hook. This one's going to be the pre-hook. This one's going to be the first verse, second verse. Cool, we're done. Then she would send it off to whoever. Let's say she was writing for Nicki Minaj at the time. She would send just the demo, the gibberish, just with the melody. It was just a beat and a melody. And then they would hit her back. Oh, bitch, I love it. Let's run it. And then she'd come in and pen it.
Damn.
And I'm like, damn, this is an amazing, like, this is how hits is made. Like, I get it. I'm seeing the symbiotic relationships of creators, like, excite each other, motivate each other, and just because Esther was the biggest songwriter, like she also got to have a music career. And then she jumped into acting. She was in the Pitch Perfect movies, the 3 Pitch Perfect movies. So that it's just stuff like that, man, was just priceless, you know, being in LA. So,
And and the crazy part is, you know, that and thank you for that, you know, illustrating kind of the journey that you went through. And this is just one of the chapters. Like we haven't even got in, and this is a
we
good
didn't get to the
segue.
good part yet.
And this is a good segue. But yeah or no? Okay. I'm gonna get into my second segue, but my first question before we cut real quick is, Wild 949, your job that you had, was that your first job, or what job did you have before Wild 949? Did you have any
I had a handful of jobs before I got there.
what type of jobs?
My
did you
first
have?
job was a concrete construction job.
Oh,
That made me
hands-on.
never want to do construction
Made
and
you realize what
want
you don't
to
wanna
use
do.
my brain.
Yeah.
I wanted to use my skill set because I didn't want to fucking bust concrete down on 100-degree day during the summer and break my back because I was a skinny ass like 16-year-old doing a summer job. And
Yeah.
that shit was no joke. Like, salute to all the construction
I was gonna say
workers and
salute.
people who are gifted to build stuff with their hands.
Yeah.
I wasn't built for that.
Yeah,
I was
it's
built
hard
for,
work.
I was built for other stuff. You know, my wife is the handyman around the house. You know,
I hear you.
gave me the confidence to move.
Yeah, because when everything started brewing out and all the opportunities
All the
started,
shit was happening.
you're
I was
like,
scared, bro. I'm
dive.
scared to fucking leave the bay.
and talk about that real quick, just that moment, because I feel like that moment right there is very important, because that's like the dictating factor for everything else to happen, which is like,
Yeah,
you realize that
Yeah.
okay, there's an opportunity on the table, more than just an opportunity. It's like you see the momentum.
it's there.
So
you
jump.
talk about so we're talking about the transition from the Bay Area to LA, right? So it's a new chapter,
Yeah,
and you got to man up. Like, you
Yeah.
can't be the, and I say that in a very like masculine way. Like, let me
say how it is. Say how it is.
but let me, well, because I could say it like how we
Yeah.
talk to people, or I could like break it down,
Mhm.
right?
And it's
And what I mean by like, what I mean by man is like, get over the fear, right? In order to go into the next chapter of your life, you cannot be the same person you were yesterday. The next level requires a new you. Every new level requires a new you. Okay. So, and what that means is you can't, the habits that hinder you at this level, you have to get rid of for level, let's say 5. To get to level 6, there's going to be new habits you're going to either have to acquire, and old habits you have to break. You cannot level up being the same person. It's supernaturally and physically, like literally defined in physics. You cannot climb into, you can't, a square don't fit in a circle. Circle don't fit in a rectangle. So if each of these things is levels, you have to transform yourself. Like when Bruce Lee says, be like water.
You like water. Yep.
Okay, be transformable, be adaptable, because every level requires a new version of you. And so, yeah, I had this, let's just call this DMT experience, a highly intensified spiritual experience. And that gave me this confidence, really this love. Okay, I think you have to have self-love in order to have confidence. Right, because that's the difference between cocky and egotistical, versus confident comes from a place of knowing. Knowing comes from a place of love. Okay, and at this time, I was going through an intense spiritual journey. Like, I was fucking looking into the Illuminati, all this shit. Like, because I'm like, what the hell am I getting myself into?
Illuminati.
Like, I seen like how, just from a large media perspective in radio, like how they control an area or a region, the masses. What the hell is Hollywood going to be like? And it's way deeper, So, but I had to stop looking at it from a scared perspective, a fear-based perspective, and I had to start looking at it from, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Get fucking excited, Clay.
Yeah.
Get so engulfed in the passion that you have that you're not scared anymore.
Yeah.
And that's
You
what
jumped.
it took. That's what it took to, you said, like, literally it was jumping off the building for me.
Yeah.
Because my safety net was in the Bay. My family was here. My friends are here.
Yeah.
LA, no safety net. Was
You
that?
had to build it, literally.
Yeah.
And that's one of my mentors. It kind of reminds me exactly that. He says when you jump, like in the term you just used, you jump, you're jumping off of a cliff and you're building an airplane on the way down. So essentially that's kind of like you knew you had to make your
Yeah.
own route.
Yeah, and
Making
you
that
know,
decision.
the leap of faith,
Yes.
right? Because you can't see it, but
The vision.
yeah, you know what is it? The passage that says, you know, don't lean on your own understanding, lean on your belief of God, the faith that you have, you know, that you're going to be okay. So that was, man, that was like a huge
6 years.
yeah, you know, but just the transition it took a lot, you know, it took a lot of spiritual and mental preparation.
Yeah.
You know? And then you get out there and you realize, okay, it's a couple years in, okay, well, I ain't going nowhere now.
Yeah, I'm in here now. I'm doing it.
Yeah, and then I had to change my relationship with money.
Yeah.
Because I was scared money.
Conservative. Go out less.
Yeah, well, I let money dictate my mood. If I had a lot of money, ooh,
No, feeling good.
I'm popping.
Let's go outside.
Let's go spend this shit. You know, bottles on me, food on me.
Yeah, it's a service.
And then but yeah, then money gets low and I'm uptight and I'm fucking nervous and I'm tripping off how I'm gonna pay my bills instead of just staying steadfast.
Yeah.
So those are personality traits I had to learn how to deal with it within myself. Like again, like so in order to, but while I'm being this, you know, kind of rambunctious 20-year-old, you know, I'm like 26, 27 at the time. You know, my shit is popping off and all of a sudden I get invited to start making some beats with this guy named DJ Chronic. DJ Chronic at the time had produced Bend Over with Lil Jon and Tyga. And he was from Australia, huge like in the DJ scene, like globally. And we start making a bunch of these, you know, twerk beats and EDM type tracks, and we're fusing like deep house with hip hop, and like we're just trying to blend all these genres together that wasn't done yet. And all of a sudden, I get in this meeting with so DJ White Shadow. We're at his house, who was Lady Gaga's producer at a lot of big records with her, and he's got like a huge record with Pitbull right now too. But him and Edwin from DJ City, these guys, like, they were dope when I first got to LA. Like, they really kind of opened some doors for me. They connected me with Chronic. And all of a sudden, I find myself in the Hollywood Hills at this big ass mansion at White Shadow's house, and DJ Tate James comes walking in. That's Justin Bieber's DJ.
Oh, shit.
All of a sudden, we start chopping it up. Hey, cool. Send us a pack. And me and Chronic's like, damn, we just worked on like fucking, you know, 30 beats, and they've been putting us up at Paramount in Hollywood, and we just going in there to make beats all freaking day. And I'm feeling like, damn, you know, I wasn't even on a laptop yet. I was literally bringing in my G5 fucking Mac computer, setting this shit up and putting on my programs. And Chronic was on a laptop with Ableton. I was like Reason, Logic, and I would pull sounds from there and then dump it all into Pro Tools. And I'm watching Chronic run fucking circles around me, like speed wise, because Ableton is just super fast as far as like the way you can flip sounds and sample stuff. And Pro Tools is more of a recording based program, and the MIDI in it is always kind of sucked. So good luck if you try to make beats in it. I don't recommend it, but I use it to make my shit sound good. I record, mix, and master in Pro Tools. But that was just such a great experience, you know, working with that team. And then all of a sudden, I remember I'm at dinner one night with a buddy of mine, with Niley and this DJ named Crisco Kid, and I get a call. Fucking Justin Bieber just cut one of your records that you and Chronic did. What the fuck? I call my mom. I'm like damn near crying at the dinner table because I'm like, this is the only artist I've ever worked like to ever cut a song that my mother had heard of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, mom didn't know any of the rappers I was working with and shit, but mom knew who Justin Bieber was.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking my life is about to fucking change, and it did, but it was just an ironic kind of situation. So he ends up leaking the song, like a snippet of the song, with 11 other songs on his Instagram. My phone is blowing the fuck up. I'm in meetings at every fucking record label, meeting all the top A&Rs, executives. But I'm going into these meetings, and none of them give a fuck about the music.
Yeah.
They're all asking me, like, who's your relationships? Who's your team? Who do you know in tech? And since you're from the Bay, like Silicon Valley, like they wanted to know what my business infrastructure was. They wanted to see if I was worth any money or not. And this changed my whole perspective on making music. I was like,
Because
holy.
the corporations are different. You know, they approach it differently, right?
I looked at this shit from a creative art perspective. I thought I was dope because I'm from the Bay. I'm from this elaborate, extensive culture of music that, you know, that is the Bay Area, from hyphy music to fucking Green Day and Metallica and Santana, all the way back, right? I'm sure there's so much shit that has been cultivated in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, Northern California, San Jose, freestyle, and all the Latin shit that came out of San Jose. So it's like, I just thought creatively, like, oh man, I've made it. Yeah. But then this is when it hit, like, oh damn, like, I need a team. I need somebody who can call fucking Scooter Braun right now and make sure that record makes the album. And then I start to realize, like, I hadn't signed to anybody yet. I'd been offered 3 publishing deals, and I was waiting for this placement to happen. Long story short, he posts these 11 snippets. Bieber posted on his gram, and we were the only, like, dance record. Everything else was like guitar, R&B shit. And our record was ranked in all the blogs like top 1 or 2.
Wow.
But then this new album's about to come out, and I'm like, fuck, did we make the album? We didn't end up making the album, but they ended up, because we were like the market research. Yeah. They found out what the trend was that his fans wanted from him, and then they went and got Diplo and Skrillex to produce the album. And it fucking broke my heart. Damn. I was like, damn, like, can I at least get the files and, like, can I figure out how to put this record out? But, you know, obviously that's just not happening with a Bieber record.
But that was like a big, kind of like a lesson for you, right? Like, cause you were, it looked like it was gonna go in your favor, but it didn't. But like in that moment, like, you know,
it taught me I needed a team. Yeah. It taught me I got to stop doing this shit by myself. Yeah. I had a friend, that worked at Atlantic, and he's brought up Empire. He's like, why don't you go do a deal with Empire? Like, you need a team, bro. You can't be out here continue, like, you hit your bricks. You just hit your ceiling. You got 2 of the biggest artists on the planet. You can't get any higher. Yeah. So, in order to start executing on a business level, you need infrastructure. You need a team. So that kind of put things into perspective.
So somebody suggested Empire initially, then.
Yeah, and it made sense. It felt good when they said it too.
They were like, "Dude, why don't you just do this and that?" You were like, "I ain't."
But they weren't at that time. They weren't ready yet. To, like, where they were like signing producers and writers and building like the creative
it was just
label
a
side.
Kind of conversation.
Yeah, but right after Empire started doing that.
Interesting.
And
God's
then
timing.
Yeah, God's timing for sure. And then like. But that opportunity was still really dope because I ended up, shout out to my boy DJ Triple XL in LA. Like, he ended up shooting me this fucking Chris Brown acapella, and I ended up getting to do a remix for Chris Brown and Agnes Mo. And then it was a super slow R&B record that the label 300 had put out. They asked us to remix it, and then they put Juicy J on it. Wow. And it did really well. Like it took it from just like being like an R&B song to like now there was a club version, and getting to play around with Chris Brown vocals and chop that shit up, and then he posts it, and like that was just another check off the bucket list, dream come true type shit, you know. And then, you know, shout out Blanca de Danza, who's like a dancehall artist that I work with. Like, it was just so much shit going on. Like, then we start putting out dancehall records, and he starts organically like going viral, and then he shows me his team. Like, I get to meet, like, because he's a huge dancer in the dance community, in the Latin dance community and dancehall community. And the reggaeton scene pulls from dancehall, right? That's where the influence comes from. So he's getting hired by, like, El Alfa and Faruco, and he's touring with Faruco as a dancer, and Cardi B, and, you know, he choreographed the song called Ponle by Nicky Jam and J Balvin. He's the only male dancer in the thing, and he's the one who teaches them how to do the little stanky leg dance that they did. But this guy inspired me so much because it was like, I'm around what I'm around, and then this guy is like in a whole other sector of the business, like dominating his sector, and just building all these relationships, and I'm helping to turn him into a dancehall artist, and it starts working. So now I have an independent act that I'm working with that is literally going viral, like 20 million streams on Instagram, 20 million streams on TikTok, fucking, it's translating into hundreds of thousands of streams on Apple and Spotify, and then I was able to get him a deal at Empire. And I had already gotten like 4 or 5 artist deals at Empire, but I never like kind of managed the situation. And he's kind of like the first artist that, I've pitched to the company, and we put out his first project last year, or a year and a half ago, and it charted on the dancehall reggae charts.
Wow.
And on Apple. And so now, like, he's actually coming up next week for a couple of the shows, and just an amazing like relationship that I have with him. And he's such a dope creator, but we've both kind of bumped our heads on the business side at the same time. So it was somebody like I could relate to and talk about all this business shit with. And we have a partnership label called Dance Mafia that's distributed by Empire. And I was kind of like, these were like the icings on the cake, like, as spending my last couple of years in LA. Literally, like, my son was born in Burbank at the Disney. So my wife worked for the Grammys at the time.
Oh shit!
So the Grammys, I didn't have no insurance or none of that shit, but she had insurance through the Grammys.
Oh, shout out to the Grammys!
Shout out to the Grammys, and we're gonna get a Grammy one day.
Oh yeah, put that
and this
in
is
the universe.
this is the pretext, right? This is the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Because the Grammys literally paid for my son to be born at the Disney hospital.
Wow.
And so that was like such a huge blessing. Literally, my son was born like that evening. What time? I don't remember. I just remembered as soon as he was born, like around like 6 o'clock. And Blanca and I had to shoot a video that night.
Yeah, the same night.
And the song was popping off. So I could not be in the fucking video.
Yeah.
So my son was born. I'm holding him. Actually, my wife had sent me home because she's like, oh, like, just go get some rest. Like, we've been in the hospital for like 2 days. She sent me home, go get some rest. Literally, as I leave and get home, like, then she goes into labor. So I got to rush back to the hospital. She's having like an emergency C-section. So, boom, the baby comes, and we're just elated. And then like 2 hours later, I got to go shoot a video.
That's crazy.
in Burbank.
Some lifestyle.
And then I come right back to the hospital.
Sheesh. Hey, congratulations on the baby, man. That's beautiful.
Thank you. And we knew like once we'd always talked about like once we had a kid that we wanted to raise our kid in the Bay. Hollywood is just a whole other animal. And so that was kind of a conscious decision that was in the back of our head. And then literally like, that friend of mine from Atlantic had said, hey, you need a team. So I start kind of reaching out to some of the people at Empire, like, my friend Brian Sampson, Furious. I'd hit Ghazi a few times and just let them know I was interested. And they had told me, hey, we're about to open up like a multi-million-dollar studio facility in San Francisco. And we're about to really launch the record label. And I'd kind of known about this for about a year and a half before it actually opened. And just, again, God's timing. I think it was August of 2019. I get a phone call. And I'm still in Burbank. But I still had clients in the Bay. Like, shout out to the Hammer family. MC Hammer, Booby Hammer. Like, we had done a project where we sampled MC Hammer, and that's how Alex Mejia introduced me to Hammer, and that's how I got to meet them and start to work with his family. And so I was already driving back up to Tracy like every other week, from LA. So I just, when I come back to the Bay or to Tracy, I then come into the Bay to kind of tap in with people, my friends at Empire. And then finally, like, they hit Ghazi hits me in August, and it is like of 2019. Like, hey, come check out the studio. It's I think it's almost ready. And I'm thinking like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna like get the gig right away. No, he puts me through a series of tests, of course. But he had me in with like one of our marquee artists, Money Man and Pee Wee out of Atlanta. And Money Man and Pee Wee both are doing phenomenal, like independently with our company. I think Money Man's got a track with Little Baby called 24 that's gone like multi-platinum now. And So that was like one of the first artists that he had me work with, like engineering, and did some co-production with a producer that they had from Atlanta, and we spent the week, just kind of working. And I go back to LA to go, talk to Naeli about, hey, I think this is our opportunity to start moving back. And so I think we kind of moved back blindly, like we just to kind of get things like prepared. But I was feeling like the situation was going to happen. And then he offered me a position at the with the record label at Empire to work out of the studio facility in San Francisco, and I did a publishing admin deal, and then I already currently have a label deal. So I have 3 facets in which I do business with them now. And
that's amazing, man.
It's really cool.
And just the way you showed us the journey. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, people that are just, finding out about you and seeing all the big accolades that you're doing, they don't know all that context. So the fact that you get to give it to them, it goes to show that there is a lot of work that goes into this process.
Yeah.
So now you kind of illustrated a little bit of how the relationship with Empire started now. This was, 3-4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5?
3.5. Yeah.
3.5 years.
Well, 3.5 when. Well, it'd be 3. It's 3 years in November.
Yeah. Okay. So,
since I've officially been back in the Bay.
Got it.
So almost 3 years is coming up. But Too Short introduced me to Ghazi 13, 14 years ago.
Wow. How was that experience like? Was that a concert at a studio?
So I was making beats, and I was like singing hooks and shit, and I would like show people. And so I showed Short, and Short was like, well, you need to know Ghazi. Like, you just need like a distribution situation. And so he set up a meeting for us.
Oh, he's just so specifically for y'all to meet then. It was more intentional, like, y'all need to know each other.
Yeah.
And then how did he receive you? Did he kind of already know who you were? Or it was just he might have heard about me through Furious. Yeah. Because I was producing stuff from him. And I think Furious had told him about me, and then I think Short had kind of thrown in a good word, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, it just kind of started from there. With a simple distribution deal. And we just kept I just kept working. Yeah.
Another great example of good relationships.
Yeah.
So yeah, three almost 3 years from that time frame. This is the get to that point. Now there's a pandemic that transpired right before we did an interview podcast right here in downtown San Jose. Kind of talked about the early stages of that journey. Fast forward now, I've been seeing your name ring from the videos you post, from other songs being promoted. I see you're produced by Clayton Williams. Even the drop that you have now, producer tag with Too Short's verse. It says produced by Clayton Williams. I forgot how.
He just said, Too Short says Clayton William, bitch.
Yeah, there you go. And that's new. And I was like, that's hard, and the fact you got Too Short to do that. So there's been a lot of, new things new projects, new people you're working with.
Yeah.
So I want to highlight all those things. But I guess the first thing I want to go into is like from then till now, like how has everything like transpired now? Like
so the last 3 years have been really dope. I mean, obviously the pandemic hit, so I feel like I'm just starting to kind of do everything that I intended to do when moving back to the Bay. But in the beginning, I moved back with just kind of like, let me learn the label infrastructure, let me understand the company I'm working with and the personnel. And then the pandemic hit. I moved back to San Jose. MC Hammer's family, the Hammer family is in Tracy, so I was commuting back to work over there. And then when I did the deal with Empire, we moved back to San Jose. That's where our family's at. We want to just set up the home infrastructure with, I work fucking crazy hours, so I got to make sure,
the
foundation, the aunties, the uncles, the grandmas. We gotta make sure
family's good.
They in tune. My wife's got to manage all those processes. So that was like step one. And then I would commute to San Francisco every day. And there was a team of 4 of us: Sean Sauce, Darius from Chicago, and who's a producer engineer, and Sauce is an engineer, and then Damo is our studio manager, and the four of us, strapped our boots on, and literally built that place. Built the foundation, the processes. So it was kind of like all of my, it was like the 6 years in LA, like really served a great purpose to this next chapter, because now I had this plethora of information, how to run studios, how to manage it. And it gave me the experience to play a part in this new team that was being built at Empire in San Francisco. And I now felt like I had the knowledge and wherewithal, like, on how to make this shit work at a really high level.
And, from that, commuting to San Jose from, San Francisco, some people would probably complain about that, but I like how off camera you said, like, if you love that shit, you're going to make it work.
I just got a Prius, bro. So, like,
we conservative.
Instead of buying a BMW or a Mercedes, I'm like, let me make sure I have an economical vehicle so I could do it, because I want my family and home environment to be separate from work, one, and I just can't live in San Francisco. Like, it's too cold. Like, I like San Jose, it'd be 90. And get to the city, it's 65. Like, I don't do 65 very well. I do 90 very well. 65
is only at night,
Here,
here.
Even still during the summer, it's 70 at night,
It does get pretty cold out here sometimes, though.
But yeah, to get back to your question of the driving, I never use distance or driving as an excuse. Like, it takes time to do anything. So make it work.
Yeah.
That's my bottom line. Make the shit happen.
And, throughout that journey, you've already collaborated with a lot of artists, but some of the artists to name off the top is like Stunna Man, Show Banga, Drew Banga, Da Boy, Sauce Walker, Lil Jon, Stupid Young, Little Bean, Rex Life Raj, Cowboy, Baby Gas, Slim 400, All Black, and I'm pretty sure there's more names I'm forgetting, but...
Damn, you did your research.
But there's a good amount of people. Shout out to Leo, helping me out, you know what I'm saying?
Kamaya.
Kamaya, which you were out here in San Jose for Myth recently, right?
That's my homegirl.
So that just goes to show, the type of rooms that you're in for the people tuning in right now. Like, to navigate those spaces and all that hard work to finally put yourself in position to not just be in the same room, but you're working on big projects with some of these people. I
definitely feel like locally and regionally, like, Empire's put me in an amazing position to work on the top shit in the region, like West Coast wise. So I'm definitely like, loving the opportunity to take advantage of that and just be a part. And then, like you'd mentioned, like this Lil Jon project, and to me, this is like a full circle moment. They reconnected me with John in like December last year. And we had this like week we had like a writing camp where John knocked out like 35 beats, and I got to basically co-produce all of them with him.
Damn.
And do arrangements and add 2 cents, add some sounds, change sounds, whatever. And then we cut like 15 songs, and then we narrowed that down to 5. And the first single, What We On, we're just waiting to shoot the video, but it's P-Lo, Da Boy, E40, Lil Jon, and whenever that thing drops,
it's just collab.
I'm gonna be super excited because I feel like it's gonna be a whole nother moment for the Bay Area.
Yeah,
and just our sound in general. Like John had literally brought up like he brought the module that he made Blow the Whistle with. So we took the exact same bass sound from Blow the Whistle, and we're sitting there playing with it. So it's just like shit like that.
Full circle moment.
Yeah, it's just like surreal and shit, So
for ones that don't know, Lil Jon, is a big part of the Bay Area sound.
Huge. He's got the biggest sound, two biggest songs out of hyphy. Tell Me When to Go and Blow the Whistle.
So some people say Atlanta and Bay Area are kind of like cousins, like first cousins when it comes to music. Yeah. So that's dope, man. And you're working on a whole project with him, and you're co-producing that. And Lil Jon is, like we were saying off camera, he's always kind of like mixing different genres from like Latino music, reggaeton. You were saying he was with Nori and Pitbull during the whole run. They had a bunch of bangers at that time.
Now he's on a super huge banger with Daddy Yankee and El Alfa. Like, dude's a goat, man. Definitely one of my favorite producers like ever.
Yeah, we just I was just telling you we went to the Daddy Yankee concert in Vegas, and they had him on the LED screen, and it was like he like did it specifically for the screen, you know, so it was super dope experience. But that's crazy.
Yeah, he's a performer. You know, I love watching the shows.
So
So
I love that. I love that. Ended off on a positive note for our people watching the video. You know, a lot of people know you. Some people that are just learning about your story are gonna watch this, and they're gonna learn a lot from what we just talked about today. So for the people that are tuning in that might be younger, that might be career aligned with what you're doing, what's some advice that you have to some of the people that are just getting started? Maybe they're not an engineer, maybe they're not a producer, maybe they're just a creative that's hungry to get started. I mean, like, what's your advice to anyone right now?
hone in your craft. Step one. Actually, that's step two. Step one, know yourself. Be spiritually in tuned, mentally aware and healthy. Step two, hone in on your craft. 3, never stop learning. Learn, and keep growing. Like, don't. And then 4, like, get rid of all the fear. Stop caring what other people think. Just go get it. Go do it. It does take time.
Yep.
But go do it. You could do it.
I love it, man. Stay dangerous.
There it is.
San Jose, message to the hometown.
San Jose, I love you. We doing this for you, baby.
Let's
408
go.
Bay Area, let's go. Hey, we're really like we're not trying. We are working on taking our culture around the world. It's already like happened. People have, the 40s and shorts and, your Santanas. These guys have done things. Green Day have done it globally, but now this is the new generation of it. So I'm out here doing this for all y'all, man.
Love it, man. Well, once again, thank you so much for your time and your effort to do this podcast with me. I know we've been back and forth, but finally did it. So yeah, man, it ain't exclusive. It ain't an Amlin exclusive. It's your boy BQ. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. It's your boy BQ, the homie Clayton William, and we out.
Peace.
Bitch, I look go. Bitch, I look go.